Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. Tonight on Whiskey Business, a hotel room with a crazed demon, a Catholic priest who has dealt with the possessed, or were they? Should you sage your home to expel the evil, or are you inviting it? It's our Halloween episode tonight on Whiskey Business. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, or should I say hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. Your host for Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey, and why is he talking so foolishly? It's our Halloween episode. Halloween, not necessarily my favorite holiday of the year, but our audio producer, Greg Hansberry, it is his number one favorite holiday of the year. John Whitney, our video producer, he embraces Halloween every year. He tries to have a party.
It's my wife's biggest part of the year. It's
your wife's so
happy wife, happy
so,
life.
Yeah,
Indeed.
right. So, and I just find it to be a very interesting holiday. And this is our annual Halloween episode on Whiskey Business with a couple of return guests who are going to be contributing something a little bit different to the program this time around. You might remember Father Nic Ventura from a way early podcast.
Yeah, about a year or so. 2 years ago.
More than
3
that.
years.
Yeah,
it's
that
been a
one
bit.
is entitled "Is Dino Going to Hell?"
No.
Foregone conclusion for most.
4 years later,
Not if I have anything to say about it.
But there's still time before we determine all that. But Father Nic will be joining us tonight. And Dimmick from Watershed Distillery, who has had a few bumps in the night with apparently some crazed demons. Demons. She says demons.
Demons.
Plurals.
Well,
Or demon.
I don't know. One.
Okay.
Okay.
My point is, if you're dealing with a crazed demon, do you need more than one?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Right?
You don't
One
ever-
is one more than you needed.
One is plenty. And our guest bottles, courtesy of Watershed Distillery, the Bottled and Bond Watershed Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 4 years. This is wonderful. You know what? If they just would have rested on these laurels for the next couple of years, they would have been fine. But no. They had to go ahead and up it a notch with this 6-year limited release. This bourbon, which is aged in the apple brandy barrels, which is magnificent. Newsweek magazine went crazy over this one, saying if you got right.
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
No.
They went crazy saying that you need to get this whiskey, and we have them both. So thank you for our guest bottles this evening as well. And before we get into what I'm calling tonight, the scary and the sacred, let's get some of these scary business out of the way.
Thank you for spending your spooky season with Whiskey Business. Yeah, we do have previous Halloween episodes. It's like growing up, and there would be like Family Matters or like Home Improvement, where they would have like a Halloween episode.
Yeah, we're nothing like those shows.
Yeah, we are, because we have a Halloween episode
We have a
every
Halloween
year.
episode, but those are like those are like good family sitcoms on
Family
ABC.
friendly.
Family friendly, yeah. that had a little touch of Halloween to them. This is
it very special?
these are going to go down a path of blasphemy and profanity and God knows what else. With all due respect, Father,
And I'm going to use the F word.
not on purpose, not gratuitously. And if it happens accidentally, God will forgive us.
I have my stole with me, don't worry.
But so thank you for subscribing to Whiskey Business, and if you want to check out some of those archived episodes, do it on your favorite podcasting app or at whiskeybusinesspod.com is our website, I think.
It is.
Also, YouTube. I have actually something. Johnny does a great job with all of our videos. YouTube. Just search for Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. But I've got something. I actually I got a memo. I thought it was a costume party. So for those on YouTube, I've got a costume here for everybody to see. Here you go. I am The Bride of Frankenstein.
Is that what it is?
I totally forgot.
Yeah,
about
it
the
is.
costume.
As soon as I saw it,
I thought it was Fred
great.
Flintstone's club hat.
Yeah, with the
yaks.
water buffalo
The
lodge.
water buffalo lodge.
The water buffalo lodge. Yeah.
Let me put on the dress, and
Either way.
that'll remind you. It's
Bonnie, we're late.
Well, anyway, so for those of you who are watching Whiskey Business on YouTube, here's looking at
Very
you.
special.
You're gonna
Me and Frankel.
You're gonna
Send you
keep
something
that on
special.
the
No,
whole
it's hot
podcast?
as hell already.
Yeah, all right.
It's a good look for you.
And I'm an extra priest. So anyway, so check it out, YouTube. There's all sorts of crazy videos up there, including previous episodes and fun little shots and videos that you guys have done. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're on, for this special episode, Shudder. The horror film.
I wish.
Don't forget about Evergreen.
Oh, yeah, Evergreen.
That's right. Our friends
That's our
at the
podcasting
Evergreen
network.
Podcast Network. We're thrilled to be part of that family and very happy to be adding a little something scary to the mix, unless you consider the stuff that you've already brought into your podcast network scary. But this is actually for a reason. So thank you to Evergreen Podcast Network. Check out them as well. They've got everything you would want in a podcast from A to Z.
Yeah, I saw they got a
cover all
new
the
Bruce
bases.
Springsteen podcast out,
Yeah,
and they had
yeah,
Van Zandt on.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So basically, we're friends with Steven Van Zandt.
We should, yeah.
We're
Man,
basically, we're
Like
basically.
this?
I'm in
yeah,
great
buddies
company
with them.
then.
We
Yeah.
do crossover episode
Yeah.
with the Bruce Springsteen podcast.
Yep,
You
yeah.
think
Uh-huh.
we can make that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah.
No.
Maybe we can summon the spirit of Clarence.
There'll be no summoning of spirits this evening.
What's that? Is that a distant saxophone?
You know, the biggest obstacle tonight, honestly, is going to be Hansberry.
Yeah,
It's going to be keeping him contained and
He's just so giddy right now.
In city, in
It's
city.
my favorite time of the year.
It is his favorite time of the year. But so let's
right, I'll
cautiously
all right.
move on. Have a sip of the whiskey.
All right, chill out.
Settle in. And there's a reason you two are here together.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Yes.
Because when you had your crazy hotel demon experience,
Yes.
you went to Father Nic. Father Nic is on the podcast about because you're connected in that way, but also Father Nic, having been on the podcast before, we never really got into that other part of the world in respects to spirits. I don't even know if you, as a Catholic priest, believe in ghosts or spirits.
So that's interesting. If you
or
listen,
entities.
well, we say every Sunday we believe in things visible and invisible. So there is a spiritual world. The thing is, it has its rules and the things that we got to respect. We can't just go in and think we can do whatever we want. So just like you can't just jump off a cliff and hope that you won't die at the bottom of it, can't mess with the spiritual world without, taking precautions.
Or deal with the consequences.
Exactly.
I firmly believe one reason why I like Halloween and the spookiness is because of my Catholic upbringing. I mean, it's very entrenched. Both of those worlds of
well,
spirits.
you know where Halloween comes from, don't you? The history of Halloween.
Please educate us.
Enlighten us.
So November 1st for millennia in the Catholic Church has been celebrated as All Saints Day.
Right.
Where we honor all those who are in heaven, who are in communion with God after death. And so the eve of any big solemnity is always called something Eve. And so we would call it All Hallows Eve. Well, in English, we like being lazy. We like making things short and sweet and to the point. So it kind of went to Halloween. And then eventually we just kept on saying it. And that's where Beggar's Night comes from, where you want to make sure that your family is in the communion of saints and not
Elsewhere.
locked outside.
Yeah.
And growing up at Catholic schools, we weren't allowed to dress up for Halloween, but we would dress up as our favorite saint.
Exactly.
Yes, so
on-
the Catholic kids
yeah.
get 2 Halloweens.
So
Yes.
So how is that? That's like
It's the same
the
thing.
out. Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
allowed to dress up for Halloween.
But this other
But you're allowed
dead
to
guy
dress up as your favorite
who's
saint.
beheaded or burned
Yeah,
at the
but I mean,
stake
like,
or whatever.
you didn't get to do both? We got to do both.
Yeah,
we
like
had
a-
2
yeah.
Halloweens.
No shit.
And if you played your cards right, depending on which saint you picked, you could also be a Jedi later on.
You could if
Lots
you
of-
wanted to.
Right.
Or you
Lots
can make
of
it
That's
pretty
economic
gruesome.
use of your
Also,
costumes, yeah.
the church has always been fascinated by the spooky. Because there's a church in Rome that is built by the bones of the monks that were part of it.
Wow.
So, here's the deal. We're all for the spooky, just responsibly.
Okay.
It's like drinking.
It's going to be a good show tonight, you guys.
Drink responsibly and go spooky responsibly, I guess is the message that we're going to carry throughout the podcast.
And go to Ann's Catholic School where you get 2 days. I only got 1
Yeah.
day.
You get double days. Double dipping.
1 day out of uniform.
Okay, so I did
And
not
a
know.
Jedi costume.
I did not know that you were Catholic as well.
Oh, yeah. That's how I know Father
Yeah.
Nick.
I just figured, and I know that Father Nick is a bourbon-loving Catholic priest, and I thought maybe that's why your paths crossed,
It's
and
the-
you just sought him out for counsel when you went through the story which you're about to tell.
No.
But you're
It's,
actually...
it's the opposite. It was Father Nick got moved to a church in Columbus, Ohio that my family happened to attend. So Father Nick was the priest at our church.
Yeah, and it was actually
And you discovered
that,
that
you were involved
I
in
liked
the
booze.
Yeah, it's involved in spiritual realities.
Right? Right.
And
And the bourbon word, hello.
yes, and I was looking for a specific kind of drink that I wasn't able to find, and the secretary said, "Oh, don't you know that Ann Dimmick works in that business?"
You can say who it was.
For Campari. So I
Yes.
was looking for Campari, and she says, "Oh, Ann Dimmick works for Campari." And so it was after one Sunday mass. Yes, this bottle right here.
So you're leaving church.
Leaving
let
church.
let me set the scene real
Yeah.
quick. You're leaving church.
This is the meat cute.
And, so we have a
Film
child,
buffs.
Yeah.
at the time, who's now in college. But
Not together.
he was...
No,
no,
yeah,
no.
Hansberry, a whole different podcast.
My husband
That's
and I...
Yeah,
That'll be what we'll call
I'm glad we don't have a bishop right now.
as a tongue-in-cheek nod to an earlier novel. We'll call that one the Porn Birds.
Oh, Lord. Oh, no. So
The Thorn Birds.
Yes, I do.
we would sit right up front because he behaved a little bit better, but he always was, an active child in church and that thing. No, the kid.
Now
So,
he's a young man.
yes. But so as you're leaving the church and there's the priest there and you're like, oh, was he well behaved this week? And then you come up to us.
Yeah, and I said, "Do you have a second to talk?" And
Oh,
it's like,
boy.
now imagine if your priest comes in his full getup says,
This is
"Do you have a
not-
second to talk?"
There's nothing good about this. This is not
But
going to
it
go
turns
well.
out, I say, "I hear you work for Campari," and you see she gets even more scared because she thinks I'm going to yell at her about working for alcohol. Yeah. And then I say, "How can I get some?"
Campari.
Let me pull up the inventory right now.
And all of a sudden, you felt better about life, yourself, and everything that goes along with it. Like seat in heaven. I'm there. I'm helping my priest get booze.
Doing the Lord's work.
Doing the
Assisting
Lord's
me in
work.
spiritual realities.
Spiritual realities for sure. So, all right, let's get to the stories, shall we?
Oh boy,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for.
That's what we're
Good
here
stories.
for.
All right.
Enjoying the fine Watershed products, which we'll chat about here in between a little bit because it's so nice to revisit these again on the actual podcast as opposed to just a quick little tasting here and there. Oh yeah, I didn't forget about the super secret bottle as well, which we'll try a little bit later on and tell you what this might be all about.
What it might be.
Might be all about.
And I tried it, so you guys can all have it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Boy.
Okay. Fair enough. So, a hotel
A hotel in Cincinnati,
in Cincinnati.
downtown Cincinnati. Really nice, old, historical hotel. Very nice hotel. And I was down there one weekend. It was Oktoberfest and working a bourbon event, actually. And now I have to say, alcohol was not a factor in this story, other than that's why I was in town, because I was actually running the event. So I was not partaking.
Noted.
Yes. So worked some long days, went back to the hotel, and it was a Saturday night. And you know how you wake up and you're like, you're just kind of coming to and you're aware of the room around you, but you don't quite open your eyes. Mm-hmm. So it's early in the morning, I'm kind of curled up on my side. And without my eyes open, I can only describe it this way. I became aware of, like, it wasn't a person. It was like a ball of concentrated evil. I can't say it any other way. And it was like right up near my head.
Was it
So-
was it lit? Was it there was a?
I
was
did
it a
not
light
open
bulb?
my eyes. Would you open your eyes in this case? No.
You just sensed it.
No. So go back to the Catholic upbringing and the Catholic school, and there's all sorts of things you can do in this situation. You know, you could start freestyle prayer, you could do the Lord's Prayer, but we know when it's really serious, who you gonna call?
Jesus' mom.
Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So I just start without opening my eyes. Hail Mary, full of grace. And all of the sheets in the bed crumple up, like super fast. Where that ball of whatever it was is, and it's gone, like instantly. But literally, I didn't move
Did the
because
sheets
I was so
cover the ball?
all the sheets like on the bed basically like came together and bunched up like super fast, like something just sucked them in, and then it was gone.
To protect you from the ball.
I don't know if the sheets
To
were
cover the
protected.
ball.
I'm gonna go back with the Hail Mary and who you gonna call?
I know, but maybe Mary was responsible for the sheets. Is that what
Maybe.
you're-
I don't know, but it was gone. It was gone. Not like anywhere else in the room, whatever. So I got up, checked out. Time to go.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, it's time to check out.
Were you supposed to check
And
out that day anyway?
I was.
I just hurried it up.
And it happened to be a Sunday, so drove back home, made it to the 11 a.m. You know, here we
Was
are.
I the one I the one saying
you
the
were
mass?
there.
Okay.
You were there.
Okay.
And so I came up to you afterwards, not looking for booze or anything.
No.
And do you remember this at all?
I do.
I remember what you said.
Okay, please.
Because I told you the whole story, and I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And you were like, Anne, you do not know what happened in hotel rooms. That was,
Oh yes, I do. Yes.
all kinds of crazy stuff happens in hotel rooms. So I don't know. But
Well, they say one of the titles of Mary in the church is Terror of Demons.
Yeah.
really?
So
I was on to something.
you were on to something.
You
They
say you chose the right.
chose the right
Oh,
person.
Chose the right
like
person.
every Catholic kid knows what you do in that thing. When
Call him
it's
Jesus'
serious.
mom. Who do you think Jesus called when he was scared as a kid?
Ghostbusters.
No,
No.
he called his mom.
Bill Murray is great, but he's not that great. He hasn't been around that long.
Yeah, he did. He called his mom. So why? So let me divert for just a second.
Yeah.
Why did Jesus call his mom? You went with Hail Mary, Father Nick. Why the Virgin Mary so powerful? What does she have so much more of than calling out anybody else? I mean, my first instinct would be to pray to Jesus, but you went
Right.
with Mary.
Yeah, no, Jesus can. Now, since Jesus is God, like that would have been that would have been ideal too.
Yeah.
I'm splitting hairs.
But but the thing about Mary is the demons are frightened of her because she is a human in full stature without any sin. And because the demons are creatures, too, they're not God. While God is powerful, they're already afraid of God because, well, he's God.
He's given, right?
But another creature has power over them, and that frightens them more.
So if I'm full stature and without sin,
demons are
demons don't want any part of me.
No.
Or any part of that.
No.
Whatsoever.
they don't.
And now, if I am the person I am, riddled with sin, then I'm ripe for a demon.
Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense. Yeah.
You might be buddies with them.
I know.
Like,
But
they're on
see,
your
but
side.
here's the thing. You're low hanging fruit, so they're ignoring you.
Wow.
Get to you later.
Touche, Father. Touche. Yes.
Don't follow up with that. Like,
we can get him on the way back. Let's go for something a little more ambitious.
yeah.
He ain't going anywhere. Let's go for what I planned.
But
Clean cut one.
but it's
But real quick, but that's a good point. Like, us Catholics, we believe firmly in absolution. So, I mean, is that so? Say you go to confession, then right there in that moment,
you're pretty clean of sin.
you could
Sin's forgiven.
take them
Yeah.
on.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, okay.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
I'm just getting my check marks in a row here in case.
You're
All
getting
right.
your checks in a row,
All
but
right, just in
you know,
case.
There's
That's what I'm gonna
a
do
great
first.
story. I don't want to divert from Anne's story too much, but can I share a story about in the
Absolutely.
church?
This is
That was my story. We're good.
Most recently,
we're getting into more details about that after, but don't worry.
Most recently in the church, we just celebrated the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi. You know, everybody knows him as patron saint of animals. Oh, look how cute he is.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
petting the deer, taming the wolf, whatever. But really, he was a smelly man. He wasn't a guy that when you see you don't think is gentle. He was rough. I mean,
He lived in the wilderness, right?
he lived in the wilderness. He built his own church. You know, he was a rough and tumble kind of guy. But he was also attractive in the sense that people saw holiness in him and wanted to follow after him. And because of his intense prayer, he had the ability or the gift to see the spiritual world, you know, see in both the physical world and the spiritual world. And his brothers who were following him would ask him, "Show us what you see. Show us how to see what you see." And he says, "Okay, let me think about it. Let me talk with God. Let me pray on that." And one day he said, "Okay, everybody, get up. I'm going to show you what I see. First, we're going to go to town." And so they went into Orvieto, nearby town, and they went into the red light district, for lack of a better term. You know, all sorts of things are going on. You name it, it's happening.
A lot of sin.
Lot of
sinning.
Women of ill repute.
And men of ill repute, probably. So, you know.
Yeah, don't leave us men out.
Yeah.
Come on, equal right.
So it's not a good place. And his brothers looking around expecting to see like demons everywhere orchestrating these things. No. There's only one demon causing all this chaos, all this falling apart, all this sin, just one demon, and really tiny one too, and really not that important. And then Francis said, "Okay, I'm going to take you to where they're really at." And so they started walking back, and the brothers noticed they were walking back home to where they lived. And when they got to their monastery, they saw demons spilling out of the windows, just packed to the gills in there. And the brothers were all confused. It's like, "Francis, why is it like this?" And he said, "Because you're the front lines.
You're it.
You are the ones that they want. People who are
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit.
The Dinos
doesn't
of the world.
doesn't take much work.
Yeah.
But you're harder to get.
So stay out of church? Or?
No.
No.
Yeah, right.
So it's
So what is it like for lack of a better, is it like a coup for a demon to get something a little higher up the food chain than the low-hanging fruit?
Does
he go back to the other demons and say, "I had the best day. You're not going to believe who I got."
Well, so there's a great book by C.S. Lewis
I was
called...
just going to say.
Go ahead. What's it called?
Has anybody read the Screw Tape Letters? Oh my
I stopped
gosh.
at the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
No,
That was all I
no,
got
you're
to.
missing out.
All
The
right.
Screw Tape Letters. It
Okay,
is the
all right.
best book ever.
Yeah.
Listen to it on audio.
I was gonna say, do they have it
And
on tape?
it's a great book about
Mixtape
that.
from the 80s.
So great.
Yeah, Screw Tape Letters, and
Screw Tape Letters.
it kind of highlights that a demon is
My dear
thrilled,
Wormwood.
dear Wormwood.
Yeah.
You don't go for the ones that are low hanging. Go for the ones that think they're holy.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the ones who think they're holy, so that
The fall is even harder.
That's where you want to go. And it's a fantastic
It's a great book.
well, see then, yeah,
Highly
definitely
recommend.
low-hanging fruit.
This is the sacred part we're talking about. We want to get back to the scary.
Yeah.
don't we?
I do not think that I'm holy by any stretch of the imagination.
So they're not after
You're
you.
not after me yet. Yeah.
Yet.
But should I want to like throw down a gauntlet? I just, you know what?
Mary.
You want to give a middle finger to the demons?
No.
Start being holy.
Really?
That'll give them a middle finger.
Now, see that makes me crazy because everybody thinks that I should get more religion in my life, and honestly, in this past year, with everything that's been going on, crazy like I have gone down to my icons that my mother made me put in the house, and I have actually had conversations. I guess it's prayer,
It's
but
prayer.
I call them conversations with
Yeah.
God, and I've done it, and I think I have stepped more into the, okay, you know what, I'm out of answers.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for answers, but that's exactly what I told myself. I'm not looking for you to fix anything. I'm just looking for, open my eyes so I can see what I need to fix is what I say when I'm down there.
Yeah.
So is that me being more holy?
You're
And
on the right.
And consequently, as a result, have I raised up the ire of the demons, going like, "Well, look who's trying to go down a different path."
A little bit, but at the same time, the more you walk towards God, the less they want to follow you. They want to bring you down, but makes it's harder work for them.
And have you always been a religious person?
Oh no! I mean, so raised Catholic,
Right.
But like dad's side of the family was East Coast WASPs, basically. Yeah, Grandpa was a Methodist minister, so very ecumenical in our house.
Very ecumenical.
And so, yes, I would say we always went to church, but we were social Catholics, basically. It's the 70s and 80s. We didn't really learn about
I
our
understand
religion.
what you mean by social Catholic. It was
Yeah.
the same thing in
Coffee
the
and
Greek
donuts.
Orthodox Church.
Yep.
Yeah, people
fry.
would go to
Yeah.
church almost as though they were just punching a card.
Yep.
Right.
To get the check that attended.
Social attendance.
Yeah.
Or getting
They
that
wouldn't-
subsidy to send their
There
kids
were
to
some
school.
people that were right there from the get-go, before the Divine Liturgy,
Tax credit's nice. The tax
at the
credit is
Divine
nice.
Liturgy
Yeah.
afterwards, and there were some people who would show up right before the sermon, and count. Yeah, went to church. Okay, so I get that social Catholic.
Right. And I was also the kid that was in the the catechism classes during high school that would be like, so if this is true, like I was the questioning kid, basically.
Which is great. I love questioning kids.
Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
me. Yeah, so no.
So when you experienced this, was this your first experience with something supernatural at the hotel? As far as a demon? Or
as
has
far
this
as
been
something
something
really like evil, basically.
that actually
Yeah, because
you
I think
felt something,
yeah.
it bothered you, it affected you.
Right, because I think, we all, if you are paying attention, you'll see strange things, in your house, or you'll see whatever right after a relative dies, bells start to ring by themselves or things, that sort of thing. Or if you're in a really old house, we all have stories like that. This was probably the only time I can think of where it was just like, wow, this is pure evil. But I guess I should say this. Sometimes, does anybody ever have the experience where you go in someplace and you're like, the energy in here is just, I just don't like this place. It's just off.
When I
Get
would,
out any faster.
Yeah.
basically.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
when I was looking before I bought this house, which, as I've said on many, many a podcast, supposedly has a spirit that pops in from time to time, the original owner. I remember looking at another house in Clintonville and had that foreboding feeling and something just ain't right. And I something bad happened here.
Yep.
And turns out that something bad did happen there that was not yet disclosed. It wasn't a murder,
Yeah.
but something that we would classify as abusive and evil had happened in that home, and I felt it. I don't want to be here.
I mean, so the beautiful thing about a human being is that we're both material and spiritual. So not to use too much new agey terms, but the energy we put out affects a place. So if we're doing bad things, if we're causing pain and suffering and distress, a place absorbs that. It's not we have an effect on where we live. I mean, not just on the environment, but going to a church that has been prayed in by people who believe in God, and you can almost feel the prayer just radiating from the place. Or if you go into a place where a lot of pain has been, like an insane asylum from the 1800s, or a place where a lot of Auschwitz. You ever been to Auschwitz before, Nino? And
No.
like everybody has.
Well, I don't know.
No, but honestly, I would
Yeah.
if I ever had the opportunity to visit it,
for sure.
I would love to. But no, I've never had the opportunity.
I've not been there myself, but just countless stories of people coming back saying,
How heavy.
"Yeah, this
feel it.
place is not good."
No, it's still there.
Yeah.
A lot of tortured souls.
Hold on. What is that?
What is what?
Do you have a cat?
No, it's the
Oh,
chair.
okay.
All right,
chair.
because Nick and I just heard something, and it sounded like either a cat or a baby crying, and we both heard it.
Yeah, and
This is
I
a
was-
squeaky chair. Squeaky
Okay,
chair.
all right.
Come on, dude.
Okay.
He's trying to find spirits.
Did you hear it?
I saw you going in that direction.
Yes, I did hear it, and I knew it was the squeaky chair.
All right. We did it.
I heard.
Greg,
Well,
is it rain?
I can't make it
You can't make me do it now. I didn't fart. It was the chair. Let's do it again. I can't. It never works the second time. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and like if it were the movies in that particular case, what happened in Cincinnati, you would have checked out and thought you were done, but then whatever evil was there would have followed you home. Yeah,
Right.
followed you
But
home.
you went to mass right away.
You went to mass right away, so it didn't.
Drove straight to church.
Yeah. So
That's it.
so none of that evil followed you. No, you didn't have any other incidents post Cincinnati where you felt a presence of any sort.
No.
Okay, good.
Not from that. Not from that.
Not from
but
what?
I truly no. I'm saying not from that, but I really do believe that you can open yourself up. Like you can leave an opening and you gotta like close that down.
Which brings me to my next question.
Yes.
I've had people, and I did not know this until we were talking right before the podcast, and I actually said to Father Nick, save it for the podcast because I find this fascinating. I have felt that at some point, like I said, during this extremely tough year, that there was my friend Ralph Scott, who's been on the podcast before, considers himself to be somewhat of an empath and have a connection. He sees dead people. He has since he was a kid. I mean, and he sensed a presence here in the house when my daughter was here that was bad and was trying to cause problems. So he said, I'm going to come over and I'm going to sage your house, the inside, the outside. And he came in and walked through with the sage. And my daughter who also believes in cleansing with sage, has done that. I sit here and think, okay, that was a good move. I guess whatever. I don't know how much I believe in it, but if Ralph believes in it and my daughter believes in it, what's the harm? You're telling me don't sage.
So,
Why?
right, where do we begin with this?
Start from the beginning.
So, what the origin of saging your house comes from being able to control the spiritual world, being able to say, I have power over this. Here's the problem with that premise. None of us can control the spiritual world. We can only engage with it. Just like I can't make it rain outside.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And I can't make the sunrise right now. It's nighttime right now. I don't have that kind of power. The world has its own power. The spiritual world has a similar kind of thing. So saging itself isn't the problem. It's the disposition that it puts someone in, saying, I'm opening myself up to whatever may be out there so I can control it and try to do something with it.
Kind of taunting.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily the saging, or another example is Ouija boards, or
I've been watching The Exorcist more frequently.
More frequently.
Who says that?
Well, okay.
What?
Yeah, I watch it Monday.
It's his favorite movie.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
No, haven't you ever, like, every once in a while you'll catch a movie and you watch it more, you like almost study it?
You're watching it more intently.
More intently, and I've watched
Okay.
like YouTube videos and stuff, and there's a scene early on, and I never picked up on it, and maybe you guys did, but there's a scene early on when she's on the Ouija board, and that's it. The spirit, boom, says, that's you, and he targeted Reagan and had its sight set on it since the rest of the movie.
But the Ouija board, and I'm going to be the skeptic here to some extent. The Ouija board was a game that was created by
Milton
Milton
Wait,
Bradley.
I've got a story.
has
I've
a
got a
story.
story on the
All right.
Ouija board and the little kids sleepover from the Catholic school. So it all relates, right?
All right, let's
So
connect.
do you want me to
So-
preface
Across
this
the-
before the story or after the story?
I'll tell you the story.
All right.
Let's
I'll say.
connect.
Story.
Let's connect
So-
the evil dots.
Wait,
shall we?
are we
Yeah.
done talking about saging though? I think
Well,
basically,
no,
We'll
yeah,
come
back.
connect the
It'll
same.
connect.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I got it.
The evil dot.
I got this.
You know,
I got
you've done
this.
this before?
I got this.
Yeah.
We're playing the Ouija board at the girls' sleepover. We're like 8 or 9 years old. This is not my house because my parents would not have that in there. And so we're, you're doing it and everything. And you think somebody else is moving it and
Right.
everything. And this whole thing, the spirit comes through that is supposedly my grandfather. Well, my grandfather, who was a minister. And I knew his first name. It was Doug, my brother's name, everything. And it spells out for a first name Rutherford. That's a pretty long name to
Yeah.
spell out on a Ouija board, right?
Yeah,
And
9-year-old
so-
girls don't even know how to spell that word.
Right. So you're like Rutherford B. Hayes. So I go home and I'm telling my grandma actually about it. And I'm like, it's such a, whatever, it's a crock. And it was saying that it was my grandfather and I only had one dead grandfather. This was it. And it had like totally the wrong first name. And she's like, what did it say? And I'm like, Rutherford? And she's like, so your grandfather is R. Douglas Merriam.
Wow. Dun, dun, dun.
We're never playing that game again.
So, I mean, now
Milton
again, yes,
Bradley.
I also know the history of Milton Bradley and how they came up with it to sell something, but it's that whole disposition thing. Like, there are people who play that really thinking that they're going to talk to a spirit.
Right.
And here's the thing about demons. They're fallen angels. They're incredibly intelligent. They know if it's information that's out there, they know it. They can't read your minds. That's not something that they can do. But they can read your emotions. They can take your temperature and see that you're having an emotional reaction to something and then try to lean in on that. If you've ever met like a hypnotist like that on the street, they kind of use your body's cues and clues
Right.
to tell you how you react to something. That's kind of what a demon does. And so they realize, oh, wait, if I pretend I'm this dead person's relative, I can get a way in and say,
It's my in. Yeah.
yeah. So
That's my door.
it's more opening windows. So going back to saging, again, the practice itself is not a problem. It's the disposition that it makes people.
It's where you're at in your head.
Yes.
So if you sage the house and you think, okay, I am fighting whatever evil is out there, you may be unintentionally also inviting it.
Correct.
Can I have a question?
Sure. That
Just-
sounds like a question.
Just to push back on
Yeah.
that. So you said that saging is a false sense of controlling the non-physical world, correct?
Yeah.
So, but I've seen the Ten Commandments plenty of times.
Yeah.
Painting the door jambs red to control the.
Yeah,
No.
that's the fine line I was going to ask about. Keep going.
So
So what's the difference?
the
between-
difference
Right.
there is that God commands it. Now you may say, well, then God's a spirit, and this is where faith and stuff comes in on that, is that, well, who do we believe is actually in charge? Do we believe that we're in charge? Or do we believe that God is in charge? And so, but that's not controlling the angel. That's just saying, hey, this is a family that has accepted the covenant of God.
I got you. So it's not controlling the non-physical world necessarily. It's
Correct.
just a marker.
It's just a marker saying, hey,
Gotcha.
this is...
Okay, so
we are.
what is Plan B then? If you say the actual saging is not the issue, it's the frame of mind. So what kind of frame of mind should I be in if I think that there's been evil in this house that's trying to bring my family down?
Well, I have an answer, but it is I'm the company man. If you
Right.
see what I'm
I
wearing,
understand.
so
I understand. But I want the company answer. So
Yeah, it's good on you, buddy.
I'm going straight to the collar,
okay,
Father.
great.
Go.
So we believe that God is goodness, not that He is just good or that He is something that is good. He is goodness itself. That if anything is good, it belongs to God. It comes from God. It is from God's substance. And so, to protect your families, to say if you're like, okay, I want to bring goodness into this home, we go right to the source of goodness. We ask God to be in that home. We say, Lord, this home belongs to you. Whatever does not belong to you that is here in this home, cast it out.
That sounds fairly simple, but also very sincere.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you're a reasonable man. You know that there's a large portion of the world that isn't Catholic. Mm-hmm. I mean, but there's other good gods.
But that doesn't strike me as just Catholic.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a goodness.
That just seems
Yeah.
like it would work across the board.
So if we're going to talk about the other religions and stuff like that, I can. The thing is, if anything is good, it's because it belongs to God. So if anything is true, good, or beautiful, it has its origin in God. Now, that might make people who are of other religions angry that I'm saying anything good about your religion comes from God, but what do you want me to say?
Right. But yeah, you nailed it on the head. It's
I have another goodness question.
Sure.
And it's kind of like in the realm with the whole energy and everything that we're talking about. So we're talking about like people seeing things and ghosts and whatever. Has anybody heard about how sometimes children see things that adults don't necessarily see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
My daughter.
Yes.
My daughter has seen things
Yes.
that I've never seen. And
Right. And
Well, I
they...
mean, But Jesus talks about that too. You must have childlike faith in order to embrace.
Is it because of their innocence and their faith that they're able to see things more
if you
clearly?
tell, I mean, I made the mistake of breaking the news about Santa to some 5th and 6th graders a couple
what
years
news
ago.
is
You
that?
did
Good
them
move.
a favor.
Good move.
Did I do them a favor?
Horrible.
You
What?
did
Huh?
them a
Huh?
favor.
No,
What?
I
Yeah.
had some mean letters sent
Well,
to me.
5th and 6th graders. I
yeah.
mean, that they believe that was a good run for them.
That-
As far as I'm
That's
concerned.
what I found out when I was
Poor
in
these
kindergarten.
That was a good
kids.
run.
I found out when
I
I was in
would've
kindergarten.
bullied
Yeah, I
these
did too. I
kids.
found
So-
out early. In fact, I came to the conclusion myself.
Yeah,
Right.
that's-
When my
Same.
father put up a cardboard chimney
Yeah.
in the living room when we didn't have a fireplace and told me that Santa was going to come down this, and I'm like,
You're like, oh.
bullshit. There's no way. There's no way that the guy I saw at Tobacco Land at Sears.
No way.
That's where Santa was. He was at Tobacco Land. He was at Tobacco Land at Sears. This is back in the 60s when smoking
Santa,
was
yeah,
cool and hip.
exactly.
And Santa was
Hey,
set up
kid,
next
have
to
some
Tobacco Land.
carcinogens.
Yeah. You know, at the
You'll shoot your eye out. Here,
yeah,
get some
yeah.
lung cancer.
I don't believe it. That guy that I saw at Tobacco Land is going to come down this. There's no Santa.
So, but most children, if you tell them something good,
They want to believe it.
They want to believe
Sure.
it. Tell them about something good, they're going to embrace it. If you say, "Hey, there's this person who's watching whether or not you're been good or bad,"
You know.
they're more inclined to believe that. There's
They're
that
less cynical. All
right.
that.
There's
Yeah.
less cynicism. There's less sort of an expectation to be let down. And so kind of talking about like kids seeing things that adults might not see. That is, I mean, I don't want to say like being young is somehow a virtue, but
But I think they're at an age also they don't know how to interpret things that usually could be explained.
yeah.
So then their imagination is so vivid that
They can-
probably most times that they
Well-
would see if they saw something, yes, but if most of the time I think it would be something that
No,
they
I'm
just
So-
can't
inclined,
explain.
I'm inclined
No,
to
no, no.
believe that as we get older, we do become
We
more
lose
jaded and cynical and so
Right, that's
forth.
what
And
I'm
as a
saying.
result, have those negative energies. We're not as open as, like you said, as open as the children. I totally believe that.
I was going to say the example that I was thinking of happened at church.
No.
There it is.
Okay.
And this was when our son Noah was really young. I mean, he was like maybe
So I wasn't in the
3
picture yet.
or something. I don't think you were.
Yeah.
But same church. And we're sitting there on a Sunday, and there's a baptism going on. And so, the family goes up near the font and everything. And there's the parents, and then there's a godparent on either side. And he said, "Who are all those people?" And
Oh, wow.
I mean, oh yeah. And I'm like, well, that's like the godmother and that's the godfather. And he's like, but who are all the other people around them? And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I actually told the family afterwards that he had said that.
I mean,
He-
whenever you're surrounded by the angels and saints at every moment of every day.
And that goes back to what I was saying about like the Catholic belief. Like, if you believe in that, how could you not believe in spooky things in the basement?
right.
Right.
So, but what we tell
exactly.
people is, oh, I talked to the ghost of my great grandmother. Be
Right.
careful about that.
Sure.
Like, we're not trying to crap on the memory of your great grandmother here, but
So who did they speak to?
Well, but to your
We
point, it
don't
could be
know.
anybody.
But
Jack Daniels.
But you're
could
still,
be.
but it's from the same world. It's like Marvel universe. Like
Yeah.
the saints and the bad guys, they're there.
that's an interesting connection between this and the Marvel universe.
It's
It's really-
I got it. I mean,
I get it. That was
Hansberry and I
good.
connected.
That was
Yeah.
very good. That was I'm
Thank
very
you.
proud of you.
Yeah.
It's seriously good.
What did your daughter see?
What did my daughter see?
Yeah.
My daughter has seen, in this house, she saw the old man that's, well, I didn't know at the time, but she saw an old man sitting at the foot of my bed. And I thought it was, when she described him, I thought it was my grandfather who had passed away years ago and was, because the way she described him. Then later, when we, went on and found out that supposedly when we had a spiritualist on the show. This is before your time, Hansberry.
Right,
We
right,
did a
right.
show from this house, and there was a spiritualist who said that there is an entity that is still here, and she said his name is Bill, and I looked up the original deed because I have the whole big pile of papers from the house, and the original owner, his first name was Bill.
Wow.
And my daughter said she saw an old man sitting on my bed smoking a cigarette, and I went upstairs immediately and see if I could smell any cigarette smoke up there, but there wasn't. But she saw him smoking a cigarette, and then she's seen other things too. She's seen, or at least she thinks that she's seen her great grandmother before, after she passed away, and times where she thought she saw her grandmother, who she was very, very close to. In fact, she called her mom, not grandma. She called her mom. That was that close of a relationship. So but as she's gotten older, to bring up our other point, those moments have been less and less. These were all when she was younger.
Yeah.
And not even a child, high school, maybe even in college. But the older she gets, it seems like the less those types of things have happened. And you say, be careful. You didn't. I saw my great grandmother. Well, what do you tell them that they did see?
Well, I don't try to scare them or anything. I just say let them be okay. Consider it a blessing and move on.
But what do you think
But
they
it could
saw
be,
then?
right?
It could be. It could
be.
It could be. But if they try interacting, it could be something that is dressed up.
It's just like another scary movie where they're like, "Come here, little kid."
Dressed up
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
great grandmother, and
Yeah.
really
to gain their trust.
So the demon knows
This is what they look like.
Bring
This
the
is
guard
what they
down,
look
yeah.
like. And the demon knows. Oh, that person has huge affection and love and sadness.
Yeah.
For the. So I'm gonna.
It's
I'm
like
gonna come across
Inception.
as the-
We all need our like Inception thing to be like, "What's your thing?" And then you can ask.
It's
it-
like
it-
the
like
old
in-
lady in The Shining too,
Yeah.
where she's in the bathtub. and
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
this
yeah,
old
yeah,
lady
yeah.
is
She wasn't a hot
crazy.
naked babe.
You need to go to confession, Greg.
Not
was
for
a
not for
demon?
that
That was a
movie. Not for that movie.
Talking about demons here. Right?
No. I'm just busting your chops.
how long have you been? How long have you been a Catholic priest now, Father Nick?
6 years.
6 years. And in the course of those 6 years, and we're gonna go back to something near and dear to Hansberry. Have you ever been involved with the possessed or had to invoke the rites of exorcism?
So I am not an exorcist.
Now, is that like
That's a special office in the church.
special office? But it does exist.
It does exist.
It does exist, and is it a special
Track.
training?
Yes,
track
it
of
is
some
special training. Like, so every diocese has an exorcist assigned to it. One that, but no one knows the identity of the exorcist.
Really?
Wow.
Except
it's like
the bishop.
person on the plane.
Yeah.
Right,
who
like the
is
cop on the plane.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the only
Nobody
person who
knows
knows
who the air marshal is.
the only person who knows who the exorcist is the bishop and the exorcist. And so let's say I'm in a parish and I get
So
a
if
phone.
it was you,
Oh yeah, would
You
you
wouldn't
would
even
you
tell us.
It was
No,
you?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It
So everybody
might
thinks
be
it's not
him.
me.
It's not you.
No,
Well, of course,
I'm not
that's
that
what-
holy.
That's what you'd say.
Yeah.
How long of a track is it to become an exorcist before you?
I don't know.
You don't know because you're not an exorcist.
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
He's got all
Well
these right
done. Well
answers.
played.
I won
Yeah.
for my
Well played.
how dangerous of a track is it?
I think if I was Catholic, that's a line of work I'd go to get into.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting.
Straight to the top.
Well, but the thing is, it's really not that. So
It's dangerous.
Hollywood sensationalizes it.
Sure.
It's really not that exciting. Now, I knew a priest who was an exorcist, and he wasn't trying to brag, but he talked about, like, he gave a conference on it and talked about it, and it's really, there are moments where it is dangerous because you got to make sure you are going to confession as often as you can, being free from sin, making sure that you're not the one who's casting out
pressure.
demons, you're the one who's just invoking God's power to say, free this person from pain, free this person from this infliction. So let's say hypothetically I'm in a parish and I get a phone call. Now, I've gotten these phone calls before where someone says, Father, I think my house is possessed, or I think I'm possessed. So the church, who invented the scientific method, by the way, will go through what's first physical, emotional, and then to the spiritual. We actually have a form for this. So I usually start out as like, how much sleep have you been getting? Oh, I only get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
Okay, that's a problem. You
Yeah,
know, you
you're
can-
sleep deprived.
You're sleep deprived. How much food and water are you getting? Oh, I eat a lot, and I drink enough water. Okay.
What kind of psychedelic drugs are you on?
Are you on any prescription medication, or are you taking any recreational drugs? Now, I'm not a mandatory reporter in this sense, but
these are questions you got to rule everything out. Yeah.
And we kind of go through that list, and most of the time it stops at sleep deprivation, stress, or frankly just doing a lot of hard drugs.
Mm-hmm. 3 things that could probably manifest
Just seeing things.
Hallucinations.
And so if those questions can be answered in the positive, saying yes, they partake in those things or suffer from these things, we generally say you're not suffering from an exorcism. You need help.
You need
Get it together, brother.
Yeah.
You need a vacation. You need 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, or you need to go to rehab.
Yeah.
Like
Called the Lowensteins.
so. Now, but let's say we go through all those questions,
Right.
And then we get to the spiritual. I had one time where they said no. The only thing they said that they did was they smoked a lot of weed, and I said, well, maybe stop smoking the weed, and we can maybe have some. But since you've only answered that one question, let me just ask a few others. Do you go to church? Oh no, I don't go to church. Okay, well, maybe start going to church. Do you pray? I don't really believe in God, Father.
All right.
Wait, they're there for an exorcism?
They're there, but they came to you.
Yeah, and that's what I said. So wait a minute. Wait
Yeah.
a minute. What?
This
Well,
doesn't track.
This doesn't track.
Can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and he said, well, I just figured you might know what to do. Yeah, you need to believe in God, and then we'll go from there. Thanks.
We're done here.
We're done. Thanks, buddy. I mean, thanks for calling, but try again next time. No, I didn't, hang up on the guy, but we...
But really, I mean,
Parted ways.
there's no sense going any further. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to believe in God for any of this other stuff that I'm bringing to the table
To make
even
sense.
make sense or work.
Yeah. Not that it gives power to it, but it's just this means nothing to you. So it's
So interesting that someone can believe that there's evil and possessions of some
Yeah.
sort, but on the other half of it doesn't believe in God, even though
Yeah.
they come from the same.
Well, most of the time I think it's that they're trying to put the cart before the horse and blame their problems not on themselves,
I
but
gotcha.
on some external reality.
Gotcha.
It's my wife's fault.
A question
Yeah,
from
Chip.
from Chip.
We have
Yeah.
a question.
Hi, Father. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Long time listener.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
First time Catholic, long time believer in God.
So, at what point in the questions does it get to a point where you have to reach out to the exorcist, and how do you do that because you don't know who it is?
So, thank you. It's like I put you in the crowd to ask that question.
It's a great question.
So, no, that is...
yeah.
That's a good-looking question.
Yeah. So basically, if I determine that, okay, we've got to quote the Ghostbusters, we've got a live one.
I knew that would come into play sooner or
He
later.
says Oba Shiba.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta do something about it.
the first thing I do is that if they can't say the name of Jesus, if they actually struggle saying that, or they're struggling to even pray, where the words can't even come out of their mouth, it's okay, we've got a problem here. There are some prayers that all priests can pray as invoking God's power to purify and stuff like that, but we call those minor exorcisms. They're not
the whole.
they're not the
full-blown
nuclear
deal.
option.
Right.
They're just minor prayers.
Drone strike.
Yeah, not even that. They're
Oh,
more
okay.
like a telemarketer spike, where
Okay.
they just call in and try to annoy them out.
Right. Okay.
But let's say it determines, okay, this is beyond my ken. I have no idea what to do here. So I just call downtown,
You call the bishop.
call the bishop, and I say, we've got a live one. I've got a problem. He says, great, give me the information. Here's a form for you to fill out. It's kind of bureaucratic in that sense, so that they just have...
Because it's the church.
It's the church.
You
It's
know.
it's where there's 2 or 3 people there, 5 red tapes will be. So we have to
Catholic joke.
submit that Thank you, Greg. We have to submit the information so they can reach out, and then they say, "Thank you, Father. We'll take care of it."
And then it's out of your hands.
Then it's out of my hands. So
Okay,
then the
you're done.
bishop calls the exorcist. Then
So even if it's somebody in your parish, they're just you.
So you won't be
could
part.
You, could you be called upon or no?
You won't tag along with the exorcist.
And to trench coat and rain and
yeah. So it's because the whole
Father Nick.
even though it's real, but we don't want to sensationalize it, because what do people do when something seems exciting? They want to go
More of
after it.
Right.
And we really don't want people doing that. Like, I mean, the example I used with you, what do you know about electricity? Do you know?
Right. Not much.
But you use it every day.
Right. And
Would
I
you-
take it for granted.
Would you dig into a box?
No, I would not.
You would call a professional.
Yeah, I would.
So it's in the same
vein.
sense.
Is it always the devil?
Well, the devil is a fallen angel, and he is the high. So, I guess I want to talk about this. The devil is not equal to God. The devil is a creature.
Good to know.
Evil has no substance of itself. What makes evil evil is that it's a good that is supposed to be there. So the more that a good is missing, the more evil it is.
Black, white, light, dark.
So evil is good.
The lack of goodness.
The lack of goodness.
The lack of evil is the lack of, but evil.
of something that
Yeah.
should be good.
So good is all the good stripped away, and
Yeah, so evil would be
It's there.
the lack of evil, but it still exists.
it still exists. You following this?
I am. Have you had to escalate yet?
No, I have not.
What does escalate mean?
I mean, like escalate up. You know, like
Up the
he
chain.
used the
Call.
call center. He used the call center
No,
thing. So
I
like,
know a priest who has, but
Okay.
I don't really want to go into
And what's the
details.
data? Can we see the spreadsheet on this one? No, like, I mean, does this happen once a year, 10 times a
So
year,
to be
once
honest,
a decade?
To be honest with you, I don't know, and I don't think anybody who does know would want to tell you, because again,
You don't want to sensationalize it.
why bother with it? Like that'd be like. So I mean, it's that study that's been done. You know, if you feed people news about murders every day, all hour, every hour, I might be talking about reality here.
Oh, shit.
What's the disposition of those people going to be?
why were you, Greg? Why were
right.
Yeah.
Right.
you? You know,
And then, but then if you take a different group of people and then just feed them good news
Well,
every
I mean,
day.
and then you, I mean, that's the whole thing. You go to church every Sunday, and
Yeah.
you're just full of the good.
yeah. And
What
so
are you?
Am
I want to go back to the social Catholics for a second. If you're just
Well-
going in to put your time in,
I think that's
does I don't mean to cartoon it.
Yeah.
But does evil going like, no, not
Yeah.
there, not there for real.
Just waiting
not
for him
there.
to get
There's
out.
Right.
one.
Well, I mean,
There's one. Yeah. Okay. Devout.
the
Not so
Easter lady.
devout.
She was here for Easter.
Yeah.
Nah, that's just
Yeah.
that's
well, we call
personal.
them C&E Catholics.
C and E
Christmas
Catholics.
Christmas and
Easter.
Easter Catholics.
Christmas and Easter Catholic.
Yeah.
Highlights.
They occupy people's seats that have been there all year.
How strong is your faith, Ann?
Oh Lord!
What a question!
Wow!
Ask it with your priest. Yeah, how strong is your faith, Ann?
Maybe a better question: How strong do you think your faith is?
Oh gosh, that is such a hard question.
I would like to think it's. I mean, my observation. I mean, you've raised your son. You it sound like you attend service regularly.
Only when she sees
It's great.
ghosts.
It's great. It's great. No. We were super involved actually.
And,
Man,
and
it's
you'll be
like
the first to say
therapy.
you don't have to. Yeah, you can have a strong faith of that being there every Sunday. There he's got it.
Because I don't think that somebody who goes to church every Sunday is necessarily of a stronger faith than you if that person is just going to put in the time.
Right.
As opposed to someone who goes to a church when they feel they have the calling or the
Yeah.
desire to go.
Yeah.
I was talking to maybe it was on a previous podcast. I can't remember. I was talking to these guys. I want to go see my priest back in Steubenville, who's retired. He's in a assisted living facility, but he's still alive. And he was the priest that I remember growing up with. He had a great sense of humor. He was a smart man, And when I saw him later in life, he asked me if I was going to church on a regular basis. And I said, no, Father, I can't lie to you, I'm not. I go, but every once in a while, I like to go, and I do this when I'm traveling as well. I like to go into churches. And every once in a while, even here, I'll go into a church, not necessarily a Greek Orthodox church, just a church.
Feels like home.
And I go in and I sit, and I told Mega, I just sit and I just think. And he told me that is the most sincerest form of prayer that there is, because you're there. You went there because you wanted to go there, and whatever you're thinking, you're calling it thinking, but in essence, he says that he goes, that's good enough for me. If you go because you wanted to go, not because you felt you had to go.
And that's the difference between obligation and desire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, we do have obligations in the church because,
Holy days of
them.
them.
Well, I have Anne probably knows this phrase, but I always say, don't think of holy days of obligation as days you have to go to church. Look at it as days you get to go.
Said by a priest.
Because if you don't go to church that day, you get to go to confession before getting communion.
There's always that one in December that we all miss.
Immaculate Conception, December 8th.
Yeah. And
will you look at me?
I don't know. I was probably
yeah. Well, going back to the whole confession thing, you seem like that. You struck me as someone that, and I might be wrong, that uses that as your out. Is that your out? You get the clean slate, and then you can go back to doing whatever you do.
No, that's a great question. You talk about faith. I'm always looking for an excuse for no matter what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
to go to church.
no. Just
get
like,
out.
My out.
Bare
and,
minimum.
I think if you, and this is just my observation, I think people who are outside of the Catholic Church look at the Catholicism.
I'm outside the Catholic Church, and
I'm not saying everybody, but it's like,
what
do you call it? The pick and choose the cafeteria style.
Yeah.
I can get away with this because of XYZ, or like, I don't have to go to church every Sunday because I know God loves me no matter what. And
I know just how bad I am for not being
and I'm gonna
there.
go. I'll go, but I know He's gonna love me no matter what. Yeah. And even a priest is gonna tell me, "Go to church, you asshole." But you're right.
In fact, I think that was the text I sent you once.
So I guess, yeah. So I mean, to answer your question, I think yes. I don't want to say it's an out, but it's this comforting safety net to know that, like. And maybe that's one reason why I have stayed faithful, because it's like this safety net where I can be like, no matter how much I fuck up, at least I got I got
a place to
go. He has Father Nick's number on speed dial.
And that's my I think of there's the vengeful God. I think of the compassionate Jesus and the compassionate God, where I can be on my last legs and there's somewhere where I could go. Mm-hmm. But that's not an excuse to
go
down that path.
Greek Orthodox, which is a form of Catholicism, we've discussed that before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like I'm completely outside the Catholic Church. Yeah. But can I go to confession?
You can go to confession to your priest.
Can I go to a Catholic church because I see the neon sign right up here on High Street. It says confessions. Such and such a day, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
So that is a complicated question. It's a good question.
It's a sacrament, but what do you have to do before you?
So now, but this is where we get into human law stuff, because the head of your church said "F you" to the head of my church, and the head of my church said "F you" to the head of your church.
Correct, I remember, and we split.
I technically can't hear your confession because your boss says don't play with those kids over there.
But if you don't open with that line.
However, that said, if you don't have any other opportunity, or like, man, I really want to go to confession, but I can't find an Orthodox priest, a Latin priest will.
If I go, if that situation were to occur, would the priest ask me, "Are you Catholic?"
Never.
No.
Never.
He would never ask. But it would never come up, because then I'd have to lie, and then I'd have to toss that into the confession.
And also, I just lied to you about 5
but
minutes
it might
ago.
be a little different because
that'd be my last one. But anything else, my son? Yeah, I lied about being Catholic.
Well, Okay. Well, I might ask but so it's a little different in your faith tradition. You guys go up to the sanctuary,
Right.
And you basically whisper. You mean you're not like shouting at the top of your lungs?
No.
I've gone to confession that
You're
way.
right there.
But in the Latin churches, which I'm the Western Church, the Roman Catholic Church, we have our boxes.
Right.
We have our confessionals. So.
Because of
We
COVID,
have
you can't
the
even have
straight
that
on thing,
anymore.
too.
Yeah, we do have face-to-face, but with COVID and protecting my rear end.
Oh, we don't have that anymore.
Well, you can if you make an appointment. That way I can have a window and...
What are you doing Tuesday?
but most of the
to
time,
make an
anything
appointment
of
for
the
that,
regularly
like
scheduled
then
times.
you know.
Sunday before 4 o'clock mass.
Yeah, before mass.
Or Saturday.
Or yes, Saturday. There you go.
And a few times a year, there's the big ones.
Yes, but
yeah.
That's the cattle call. You
The
just
big
show up
ones.
and you do.
Okay, so there's
like there's penance services. and
yeah,
stuff
they'll
like
do
that.
like a penance service where
Where there'll be multiple
here's,
priests,
Here's
yeah.
the beauty of it: they bring in priests from not your church.
Yeah,
All
I've always
over.
done that.
They don't know you.
Until
You
they
want to get in
transferred
that
to your
line.
church.
Get in the line.
But here's
For the
But
guy
are you
who
getting?
doesn't
Are you
know-
getting the absolution?
You
that
get the
need?
real thing. It's the same
Does
deal.
it feel as good though?
Oh yeah,
Don't you feel like you're putting something over on somebody?
No,
Like
no, no,
I
no.
want that priest. He doesn't know me. I don't.
A priest will do because like they can actually trace their lineage all the way back to Jesus. So like Jesus trained these
counts.
guys and these.
It counts.
It's like all the way through.
Though
Totally
what
counts, and
what-
they don't know
what-
you.
What I will say about that is that there's this lovely thing called the seal of confession. Mm-hmm. And I'm not not going to remember people's sins, and frankly, they're not that interesting. No, I don't.
I remember you asked him this question on the
bet
last
you a
podcast.
bottle
It's
of
some really
whiskey.
juicy
They're
stuff.
probably all the same. And no, we're not going to talk about them on a podcast. But I am guessing that like if you boil down confession, you hear like the same 7 things over and over again, and everybody
I
thinks
can
they're
neither
unique.
confirm nor deny.
But I'm not. Yeah, I'm not asking. But
But-
that's my guess.
No, to that point, because I think you're
Yeah.
if you're in real deep shit, you're gonna like take an effort to schedule like a, you know what I mean? You're gonna show up
right.
to the office to
Or
really
you might
hash it
not. I
out.
mean, like-
or you're not gonna go.
Or the
Scheduling,
beautiful thing
oh.
too is that if I ever hear a doozy like that, I'm not going, "Oh my gosh!" I'm just like, "What?" Yeah, I'm not shouting at the top of my lungs. You did what with who? So I mean, it's just like okay. Usually my line is anything else. Was that an inside joke?
No, he's
had
kidding.
to
No,
leave.
no,
Doing
no.
the
So
Three
good.
Stooges, doing trilogy.
And I'm cutting them off.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm cutting them
We've
off.
talked a lot about a sacred. Want more scary or?
We do it
Yeah.
more scary.
Right.
Okay.
I would like.
You're
What
from
do we had a chat about this.
Yeah.
This is only my second one. I've been nursing it,
You texted me. You said, "Okay."
and this you've seen me pour
Keeping
two.
accountable.
Yeah.
Keeping them accountable.
That's all you need is 2.
Well, this is not even two.
You're a tiny man.
Yeah. no, but I've only seen him pour 2.
Thank
so
you.
it's
And
true.
I had an energy drink before I came.
Okay.
That's true.
Wait,
All
if
right.
you guys finish what you have,
we gotta try
I
this.
brought the teeniest, and I won't even pour off of this, but I brought the lab sample.
We're gonna
of
bring.
the,
We're gonna try the lab sample.
Of the
but
just
as far as the
approved
conversation
today.
goes, I like to close on
Oh, yeah,
on both
scary.
the scary and the sacred, all in one, if you would. So
Yeah.
if you've been holding back,
So
bring it.
Some of the scariest things to consider is that we aren't alone. That, there's no such thing as an isolated human being. Even a person in the room by themselves is surrounded by things they cannot see. So,
Can they feel them?
they can't, some people might have the gift too. But, we always have to test those things, and not to go all scripture on it, but, St. Paul says, test everything. If it doesn't claim God as God, leave it alone.
So do we live in a multi-dimensional world then?
We don't know. There are here's the other thing too. The church has the world's leading astronomical observatory in the world. People say, "Oh, so you believe in extraterrestrials?" We don't know.
Right.
There's a lot about this universe that we don't know.
It's really big.
It is huge. So, we can't just... Whenever we think like, oh my gosh, it's so unknown, I'm going to stay scared. yeah, this world is big, but we don't have to remain in fear. Like, we may not be by ourselves, but we do have hope. There's always a way out. There's no one that's ever a lost case. So if we ever find ourselves stuck in the scary, we don't have to stay there. You know, we talked about, like, not opening ourselves up and stuff like that. And I just want to preface this. I'm not trying to say people are bad, you know, because we're all made in goodness. You know, we all have dignity.
But there are bad people.
There are bad people who make bad choices.
And there are evil people.
There are evil people. But I also want to recognize, because I can just hear someone says, he doesn't know anything about staging. It's like, well, we just haven't talked about everything yet. And we're trying to, you know, recognize that this world is bigger than what we can see. But let's try to keep things simple. Let's not try to overwhelm ourselves with things we don't know. Because if we did that, we would never leave our homes. And we saw what never leaving our homes has done to us over the last year and a half.
Right.
So
some, it's affected some.
Yeah.
I've also seen some people prosper from it.
Yeah.
I've seen good, and I've seen the good and the bad.
Good
as
and
a
the bad.
result
So
of
it's just-
being isolated
Yeah.
with ourselves or our families.
Yeah, and it just never be. And so what I would say to take from the unknown is don't be caught up in it. Be open to however it might unfold.
So, I mean, you might not be qualified to answer this question, but speaking of that past year, I went through a severe bout of depression. Would that be a chemical thing in my system, or would that be, or was that evil taking its shot at me?
It can be both and.
Well, and if I was depressed, is that a good in for evil to kind of sweep in and say, let's get him while he's down?
Right.
I am not not a psychological
And I said,
expert.
it might not be a fair question.
But I can say, you know, because we live in both a physical and spiritual reality, you know, the world is more than what we can just see. It can be a both and. It can both be a chemical or environmental thing, and it could also be what sorts of things are we opening ourselves up to spiritually? Like, what sort of support do we have? You know, because we're fundamentally relational creatures. We were made to be in relationship. As soon as we start existing, we automatically have relationship with our parents, with our cousins, with our brothers and sisters, with people. So that relationship should be supportive. And so also the relationship in the spiritual world should be supportive. And we're not getting that support, that can also hurt us. So I know I kind of gave a non-answer to your question.
No, you gave an answer. You gave as equipped as you can be to give the answer you gave.
Yeah. So there are psychological realities that need to be addressed by, you know, medication or change of environment or counseling. But there are also realities where you can do those things, but if you're not caring for that spiritual side of yourself, or the same thing, if you're just caring for the spiritual side of yourself and you're not taking your medicine and you're not getting the counseling you need, you're not getting the help you need, no matter how much praying you do, you're still going to experience pain. You're still going to experience the disease of depression, because it is a condition that one needs help with. We can't just say, shoulder it, get over it. That's what I'll say.
In the short amount of time I've known you in the last few years, I've been impressed by your confidence and your and no, seriously.
I'm full of it.
No, you need to be. But have you ever been scared?
Oh, yes.
Have you ever been frightened?
Oh.
Have you ever been? And have you ever like, this might be bigger than me?
Yeah, all the time.
What happened?
I'm still alive. You know, there are times where, being kind of personal.
Have you
here,
ever confronted something that you said, "Oh my God, this is true evil," and I don't know if I'm up to the challenge?
Yeah, I have. You know, but it was taken out of my control. You know, they never came back. They never. You know, I just had to.
Are you at liberty to discuss that or not? I don't want to pry into your personal matters.
It has to do with the safety of some people, so I'm not going to go into too much detail.
Fair enough.
But we had somebody come on campus once demanding certain things, and I had to be the one to kind of stall, No, they were saying things that they were Satan's spouse, and all sorts of things, and they wanted to. We had a school, and they wanted to take one of the children, and I just had to stall them and talk with them, and they were. I mean, I don't want to say that they were strict evil. They could have just been off their meds, but it was certainly
Frightening.
It was a point in the back of my head. I was going, well, this is.
Hail Mary?
Yeah, Hail Mary. I was
Mary.
that's I was
Yeah.
saying in the back of under my breath, and then when we had to call the police because this person had to be escorted off our property. That's when it was taken out of my hands, and they said, "I'll be back," and I kind of
Felt that they might
yeah. I mean,
be
I was
back,
scared,
or at least what they
yeah, because it was
putting out there.
It was a small town, and so but the thing is, I'm not the kind of person that likes waiting around. I don't like waiting for things to happen. So if I suspect something's going to happen, I'll try to be proactive and prepare. So I made a few phone calls and said, "Hi, I'd like you to just drive around the block a few times.
Sure.
And just make sure, keep an eye on the place."
And you, Ann? Evil?
I try to avoid it, but I feel like,
You feel like you've ever come across it?
I feel like in different situations, you just kind of like get a sense of different situations, places, energy,
Yeah,
whatever.
you mentioned, has anybody ever gone to a room and
Right.
it felt like you were going to talk about something that happened, that you went into a room and felt something. I don't know if we ever got to what it was. Did we?
I mean, but I feel like that happens all the time. I
Okay.
feel like it happens with
And what
people.
do you feel
and
when that happens? What is there a sense of dread? Is there a sense of fear?
I feel like
Apprehension?
everything in your body says, get out, basically. Like, not here, not now, this is not, it's just kind of a time to go,
So you have felt that.
that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah.
I will say, when I walk into a place like that, the thought that always comes to mind, and it's always I feel like it's the Lord speaking. It's like, I ordained you. If they kill you, you're fine. Just keep walking. You have nothing to fear.
It's not a fear.
Yeah, it's just
it's more of a like,
oppressiveness. Yeah.
ooh,
I
this
remember
is not where I want to be.
I remember taking my friends to a house my family, extended family has in southeast Ohio, and as soon as we took them up to the house, my friends were like, "We're not going in there. We're not going in there."
You said you own your family owns a haunted house.
Yes, it is. It has been haunted, but the thing is, whatever's there likes my family, so they don't bother us.
So it works out.
Yeah.
So ghosts
just-
aren't always bad.
they just don't-
No,
like
I've
any
always
outsiders.
said,
Right.
I've said it repeatedly. I wish that the ghost here was actually a ghost that I could see and talk to.
We can
Roommate.
get along. You would have him on the podcast.
I would have him on the podcast. I would, I would.
He may be staying away right now.
He might be right, but I would kind of welcome, the Hollywood version of a ghost.
Yeah.
There's a
Whoopi Goldberg?
Huh?
Whoopi Goldberg?
Not Whoopi Goldberg. I
Bill
mean, not-
Cosby?
nothing.
Was
Goldberg's
Whoopi
not a
Goldberg
ghost.
a ghost?
No,
in the
she
movie?
channeled
That's
Patrick
right, she channeled.
Swayze.
That's right.
Yeah.
My bad.
She channeled. She was the medium.
Patrick Swayze.
She talked to Patrick Swayze.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of
She
Bill
wasn't a
Cosby and Dad.
I threw you off.
Yeah, Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad, yeah,
Ghost
Ghost Dad.
That's who I'm thinking about. No, I'm not.
No one's thinking of that movie.
No, I think about TV shows that I grew up with. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. There was a very distinguished gentleman ghost, and I think about a show that's coming on this week on CBS called Ghosts, where this couple buys this. Inherits this estate, and it's haunted, and she sees the ghost, and they're all very colorful and clever and witty, and I would
for.
kind of welcome that.
It's like Herman's Head, but with ghosts.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's something that we just don't know. So it's just, I always tell people if they say, "Oh, we have ghosts in our house," I just say, just be careful. Just be careful. That's like someone tells me, "Oh, I've got a Rottweiler in the house." Great. Just
careful.
be careful.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would love it
Yeah.
if I was here and had a huge fight with my girlfriend, my significant other, and she stormed out. I would love for the ghost to pop up like, that didn't go well, like a sitcom. And then
We'll be back after these messages.
I would love that. I go, I know. What did I do wrong? well, from where I sit,
So, but further to that, like, okay, where's that? What's the trigger of, okay, you say, all right, okay, just be careful. You think your house is out. Where do you say, oh shit, you need some help?
Are you courting it? That's
So
kind
like
of
if
it.
you're like trying to invite something in.
I'm
Yeah.
not.
Like
But even if
Yeah.
you're not, like, if where's
if it,
again, I mean, we're going from the Hollywood.
Well, if
you know,
it's-
if all of a sudden the windows start opening and the
so if it
whatever.
disturbs your lifestyle or the way or your quality of life, you should do something about it. You know.
And maybe not light a bunch of candles and get a Ouija board.
Yeah, maybe
Not
not.
yet. And
Maybe
do
that's not
something
the-
about it, not yourself.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Bring in some help.
Professional.
You know, get the house blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we
And
doing
that's
on time,
different
Hansberry?
than- We're way over.
About a minute.
Oh.
How far over?
Always.
Hour 20.
Oh,
We're an hour and 20.
Sure, yeah.
One more question
Yeah.
from Chet.
Hi, second,
Hi.
long time
What is
listener.
your name, sir? What is your name?
Hi, Chip Cosell,
Where are you from?
Lakewood, Ohio.
that was the perfect voice.
Wait, did you come all the way down?
No,
I live here. I'm from Lakewood.
It's
but
fine,
I-
it's
you know,
fine. Okay.
I'm over there in Worthington.
Yeah.
So, what's more scary? You were talking about being in a room, but you're not alone, right? So, what's more scary, being in that room and not being alone, or what about being in the room and you're not alone? I mean, and you are alone. Like there is no
Isolated.
other.
Well, that's almost the
There is
definition
no
of
other
hell.
thing. What is?
That's almost the definition of hell.
Yeah, and
You know.
and you mentioned that the devil is evil. You said God is not good; he is goodness. Is the devil is not evil? Is he
No.
the essence of evil?
No, he is not, because he was. So
Take
now
my answer off the air.
Okay, great. The
Coast to coast.
No, that we're getting into theology here, and talking about realities that there's no scientific proof for it. So this is where we're kind of getting into extrapolation here, based on what has been revealed to us, and we're just kind of saying, all right, using our reason, this is the direction it kind of points. God is revealed, he is existence itself. So if you exist, you possess some sort of goodness. Now, if you're getting says, well, diseases exist, does that make them good? Insofar as the existence of the thing that might cause the disease, yes, it's good insofar as it exists, but the fact that it causes disease or illness or pain, no, that is not good. But that's a result of a fallen world, and that's a whole other discussion.
Okay.
So the devil, Lucifer, was the highest of the highest angels, was created to be the best of the best, was supposed to be the creme de la creme of God's spiritual order. But he got jealous. What? We're not sure. Like, there's a lot of guesses of what caused him to fall. Some guesses is that God becoming man was really an insult to him. Like, why wouldn't God become an angel? Another guess was, the existence of the Blessed Mother, someone given the grace to never choose to go against God. Another guess is that he wanted to be God himself. Jealousy, but the common theme is pride and jealousy, hubris, and because he chose at the very instant of his creation to go against God, that's what made him. God gave him the choice, but unlike humans, angels, when they make their choice is final, because they're not creatures bound by time. We are creatures bound by time, so we can revise our decisions.
I'm nitpicking here, but when you say
Yeah.
he was, the creme de la creme,
Yeah.
everything, the best,
Yeah.
so forth. It's interesting that while he was making the creme de la creme and the best, that he couldn't have let me pull out jealousy and let him not ever be jealous.
Well, the thing is, he didn't make him jealous. Lucifer chose to be jealous.
Okay.
He gave him a choice. Like, that's the. I keep on hitting your glass. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm Italian. If you,
Yeah,
what,
no.
what does an Italian call a speech impediment? A broken arm.
That's funny.
Anyways, but what makes good good is
Yeah.
the ability to be good. You know, if God took away free will from us and said, you all have to be good, are we really good?
Yeah.
Or are we just like the trees, just existing? So, you know, in the sense the angels were created with a choice, but he
So
chose.
God casts him out, right?
Well,
Or he decided to leave take on his own.
Yeah, essentially, once one chooses to be against God, it's hard to stay in God's presence because you're either with God or you're destroyed. So,
Yikes. No middle ground.
yeah, I mean, and it's not because God does that. It's just if he's existence itself and you say, I don't want to exist by my choices, you really don't want to be around existence.
It's a whole nother podcast, but I find
Yeah.
it interesting that if he gets cast out and he chooses what he chooses, how he was able to just walk out of that wonderful place and build such an amazing empire of his own that is evil.
But is it really amazing, though?
Is it? I don't know.
No, because it's isolated. It's depraved. What makes the devil so powerful, quote
why?
unquote, is because we choose to let him be. We choose
We
to
give
be
him the
miserable.
power.
We choose to be miserable with him. And that's what he wants.
So it's the funneling of the energy.
It is
Yeah.
the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. And that's a whole another fascinating topic.
Yeah.
We didn't even have time to get into Wiccan.
Yeah.
And-
And it's probably a benefit because you might get a lot of angry letters.
Letters.
I like that you say letters. Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to
Letters.
get
Facebook messages.
letters. Our mailbag.
We've
is
got
full.
letters.
But hey, you know
Lots
what?
and
That's
lots
what
of
I love
letters.
about having you on and you guys on. We always leave a little something on the table to come back to. Speaking of the table, have we enjoyed the Watershed products here this evening?
More than lots.
Yes, we. Well, yeah, I know you have. And
I
before
have.
we go, we should probably pour this into something. You gotta give me some shot glasses here.
All right.
Oh, I just dreamed of that. Dang it.
I don't need one because I blended it.
Blended this.
I did.
Shots.
All right.
So just yesterday,
Now, tell me about this before we go.
so last year we came out with our very first batch of Nocino finished barrel strength bourbon.
right.
So we make a black walnut liqueur called Nocino. We finish it in bourbon barrels, and then we got the great idea to finish bourbon in barrels that finish Nocino, that aged
Barrel
bourbon.
section.
Yes, it's a third round basically. So it's a barrel strength bourbon that was aged in or finished in barrels that aged Nocino, our black walnut
Got it.
liqueur.
So I have to share something.
Yeah.
Anne here helped me
There you go.
supply a bourbon dinner at my parish that was auctioned off.
Nice, man.
Old job, not
So-
current job.
Not current job
Yes.
anymore. No, but
We got another thing coming up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she told me about this, and I was very excited about
This is very fun.
And this is different than.
So batch 1 came out last year.
So it's the same but different. Like
Yes.
this is the batch.
Different
Same
barrels.
idea, but this is a different batch.
Right,
Got
right.
it. Got it.
Yes, you blended this.
However,
However.
we were training a new sales rep yesterday. So I'm like,
Ooh.
here's the best training. We're gonna blend a new bourbon. And then Donnie Austin, who used to own House
thought she was gonna
Wines,
say Donnie
right
Osmond.
here in Donnie Austin, who owned House Wines in Worthington. He's actually part of our team as well. Sommelier, amazing palate. We have Aaron Harris, our head distiller. We've got Greg, our owner.
do you have Leanne on or?
No,
No,
not
okay.
not for like blending this
Okay.
one. So it's sort of, we come up with blends, but then we blind everybody on them. And this was the winning blend
This is
for
the winning
this
blend,
year.
so
So
here we
you
go.
got the lab sample before we've even bottled it.
So this is gonna be it, huh?
Yes.
I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast.
Yes.
this
Thank you
evening.
for inviting.
Father Nick and Dimmick from Watershed. Father Nick, congratulations on the new parish.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to have you back
Thank
in,
you
in,
in town.
in,
Good to see
in
you.
Central Ohio.
I'm hesitant to share. Do you think I should share where I'm at?
Yeah,
or-
absolutely. If you want
Where
to.
can we find you and when are confessions?
So good thing you asked that. Thank you for that, Anne. I'm at St. Cecilia on the west side on Norton Road. And
side?
Yeah, I knew that.
Hear that, Wiccans? You
West-
hear that?
Right off of Broad, right?
Right off of Broad Street. Confessions are Tuesday evenings from 5:45 to 6:45.
Oh
and
wow!
Saturdays.
So you had confessions before you got
Yes,
got
that's
here.
what made me a little late.
Wow. Okay. Someone a little
So-
chatty.
And he's
can't
in
say.
he's in the box, so you won't have to see him face to
The guy's
face.
still in there talking, and you're gonna sit back over and be like, yes, and
I
then
gotta get to a
son, and then
podcast.
son.
Sins forgiven. Bye bye.
Well, cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
everybody. Cheers.
I've already dusted mine.
I know.
Oh, it's nice.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's gonna be fun.
So I'll bring back full bottles.
Yes, you will.
Yes.
Yes, you will.
Tastes like fall.
This is.
Yeah.
This would make a phenomenal old fashioned.
Oh wow. Wow.
Because you get like
The finish. There's a little something sneaky at the end. There's a little something.
So good.
Yes.
There's a little extra on the finish at the end. It just kind of sneaks in there.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Beautiful.
Almost like a coffee.
That
All right.
one
Well,
nutty taste.
yeah. There's a nutty afterwards, especially. Yeah.
Nick, are you
Tina
still on
finished bourbon.
radio, St. Gabriel?
I am from time to time, yes.
All right, but you don't have a show like.
We haven't recorded in about 2 years.
All right,
Thanks
so
to the pandemic.
I don't know what this means.
I'll
What
delete
this
that.
label means, but something special's coming. All right. Thank you both again, Father Nic Ventura at St. Cecilia's and Dimmick from Watershed Distillery. Continued success. We're looking forward to actually seeing you later this month as we bottle our whiskey business barrel selection.
Laverne and Shirley are coming to Watershed
Yep.
Distillery.
We're looking forward to that.
I need
video.
some
We'll make a video out of
hairnets.
that
Wait, no, it's not Laverne and Shirley. It's Lucille Ball, or is it
Oh,
Laverne?
you're right.
Does-
Oh my gosh, you
Laverne
guys.
Shirley worked at the brewery.
They
there.
worked at a
So
brewery.
they do the same thing,
Oh.
same
Bottle
episode.
stuff.
No, it's
No.
Lucille Ball and the chocolates. I'm
chocolates,
so sorry.
That's gonna be us.
Yeah.
Drink some, pour some, drink some.
Actually, it's going to
That's
be.
what we're hoping
it's,
for.
It's probably going to be
A
closer to
beautiful
Dumb and
disaster.
Dumber, is what it's going to be. I'm sorry to say.
It was gonna be a sitcom that got canceled before the pilot premiered.
But we're looking forward to that, and thank you for bringing the wonderful Watershed products
Thanks.
today. I want to thank, of course, Greg Hansberry on the audio side.
Don't you mean
the
Bride of
the
Frankenstein?
Bride of Frankenstein.
He has some housekeeping. to do
Bum
right
bum bum bum.
Some last minute housekeeping to say.
YouTube Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis.
Yeah.
Please subscribe and hit the little bell icon right there, and you'll get
Right.
a notification every time you get we post
now.
something
A new
new.
upload, yeah.
Also, thanks for subscribing if you're listening on your favorite podcasting app.
on all of
Subscribe.
them.
We're on all of them.
And we're on the Evergreen podcast
And
network.
rate and review us. Thank you very much. Share with all your friends. This is again my favorite episode, the Halloween episode. So share with all your Halloween knucklehead
Spooky
friends.
friends.
Ooh, it's Eldritch.
I look forward to this episode. I look forward to all the episodes, but I look forward to this one. I always look forward to our Christmas one too.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and oh look, we're going. Yeah, and thanks to again Evergreen Podcast Network, who are our parents, our parent.
I guess
company?
they would be
Yeah.
our parent network.
Who,
Yes, Evergreen is our parent.
And I
yes.
haven't listened to it yet, but they've been promoting this new Bruce Springsteen podcast, and I'm actually excited to check it out. Stephen Van Zandt was on it.
Somebody who is on the Evergreen Podcast Network, our friend Alex Hasty, will be joining us later this month as
yeah.
well.
Yep.
Ohio v. the World. He'll be joining us. We'll be doing a little bit of some crossover action. on
And
the
he's going to be
Evergreen
talking. Can we
Podcast.
tease what we're talking about?
We're talking about the 10-cent beer night.
Yeah.
Oh.
Up in Cleveland?
Up in Cleveland.
Oh, the
10
time,
cent,
okay.
the
Yeah.
debacle.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh.
The
Yeah.
disco sucks.
This this looks really good on paper.
Yeah, right.
But when you give 10 cents a beer,
Idea.
And you can also find us at your spirit stores. All the former Toys R Us's that are out of
oh,
business.
Spirit of Halloween. Yeah.
The Spirit of Halloween. That's you can find us in all of those.
He dug really
I
deep
think
for
so,
that one.
maybe. I think
yeah.
we're there, actually.
Whiskey Business, I don't say it too often, is a Never the Luck production. Like I said, wonderfully produced by these two guys. I have the pleasure of being your host. I'm Dino Tripodis, and until the next bottle, see ya.